The Marshmallow Man is here because we have a Ghostbusters game, and that game is Ghostbusters II for the Atari 2600. And this is an interesting cartridge. You can see that you have the Activision name. You have some non-English on it because this is actually a European PAL release. So I'm going to have to plug this in my Atari 2600 Plus to play. And the plastic is a little soft. You can kind of squish it a little bit. So let's go ahead and take Ghostbusters 2. Let's plug it in my Atari 2600 Plus and see how it holds up today. Let's go to the game. Apparently, Ghostbusters 2 for the 2600 was originally made by Activision, but at the time, the 2600 was at the end of its life, so they shelved it. However, it seems Salu decided to pick it up and publish it in Europe, where the 2600 still had enough life in it for them to try. While my cartridge has a 1991 copyright on the label, the boxes I found actually have a 1992 copyright, meaning this may have came out when the Genesis and Super Nintendo were the hot systems and 3 years after the movie it was based on. It was programmed by Michael Budapega, who according to MobyGames.com only programmed 2 Atari ST games before this one and didn't do much afterward. Atari Mania also says that 2 different versions of this cartridge were released, with each cartridge having a different startup tune. This game appears to be a port of the 1989 Ghostbusters II computer game Activision published on several computers, including the Atari ST, Amiga, and Commodore 64. However, this version only has 2 of the 3 levels from the computer game, missing the 3rd and final level, which included a battle with Vigo. The back of the box says the following: they're back, weird things happen, and the bustin' business is bigger than ever. Who you gonna call? Get your bustin' business back on its feet. Take on a pack of paranormal pests as you go underground to sample the slime in Van Horn Station. Boogaloo down Broadway with the Statue of Liberty, action, adventure, strategy, challenges, and great laughs. Ghostbusters 2 is a 2-level action game for 1 player only with 1 standard mode of difficulty. In the first level, you are repelling to a river of slime at the bottom, trying to collect some of that slime. You use a joystick to move, swinging left and right to build momentum, which seems to be needed to really move. But let me tell you, these controls are absolutely terrible, and it's really tough to actually move to where you want to go. This is heightened by the fact that as you try to collect various items, as you descend, you need to touch them perfectly with your feet, and touching with any other part of your large body doesn't seem to work. And apparently your clumsiness extended to before the game setup, as you seemingly have already dropped and broke your slime scooper into 3 pieces, which now you need to collect before you reach the bottom. These are represented by the 3 largest white blocks on the level. Every time you collect one, it is added to your scooper on the bottom left of the screen. But of course there are ghosts that are trying to stop you. Thankfully, you had 3 weapons at your disposal: your standard proton blaster, a bomb you could throw up or down and explode sideways, and a temporary shield that takes out any ghost that you touch. But how do you use 3 weapons on the Atari 2600, a system that has a joystick with 1 single button? By using the select switch on the system itself to switch between them, so you better be near your system when you play. Once equipped, you can aim with the joystick if needed and press a button to use that weapon. And these are limited use weapons. You only start with some of the blaster to use. To get more or to collect other weapons, you need to touch the medium-sized white blocks as you descend. How do you tell what these blocks represent? As you near them, an icon shows up on the bottom left, temporarily replacing your scooper status, showing you what that item is. On the bottom right is a weapon icon of what you're using, with the number underneath showing you how much of that weapon you have left. You face 3 types of ghosts here. The standard ghost can be defeated with the blaster. If it touches you, it will take away from your courage meter. If it empties, you will fall to the bottom, losing a life and having to start the level all over again. You could gain more courage by touching the thin white blocks, which may or may not be Monster energy drinks. There are also pitchforks. If they hit you, you will be temporarily stunned, draining some of your courage and sometimes causing you to continue to move without control. Finally, there are giant hands. You could try to shoot them with your blaster. Shooting straight up seems to work the best, but it can also send you back up the cavern at the same time. The large ghost hands attack your cable. The red meter on the side shows your cable fraying as the ghost hand attacks it. If the cable breaks, you will fall to the bottom, again losing a life. After you assemble your scooper, you want to reach the bottom, pressing down to collect the slime until you get enough to end the level. The number on the bottom shows how far you've gone down, with the slime river located at the 89 mark. If you do pass the first level, you move on to the second and final level. Here your goal is to protect the moving Statue of Liberty and to reach the end of the street before midnight, with the time being shown on the bottom and the long bar with the red block in it showing you your progress on the street. As you move, ghosts will attack. You can move the dash, which represents a fireball sent out from the torch, to aim and hold down the button to fire. You can only have one shot on screen at a time, but there is continuous fire when you hold down the button. Small ghosts that come in groups take one shot each. The large ghosts that come in pairs take several shots each. The green jar of slime on the bottom is your life bar. Not only do you lose slime if the Statue of Liberty gets hit by a ghost, but each shot you shoot is using slime power. The smaller bar under the road meter shows the life of your fireball. When it runs out, a new fireball comes out of the torch at the cost of slime. You also lose slime if your fireball touches a ghost. You can regain a little bit of slime by trying to touch the slime blobs on the street. If you run out of slime, you lose a life and you have to start all the way back at the start of the second level. If you somehow manage to beat the second stage, I assume by cheating, it will return you to the title screen saying you got it, and restart at level 1. However, there is no scoring in the game, so there isn't much of a reason to play it again unless you just want to count how many times you can complete it in a single sitting. You get 4 lives total in the game with no chance to earn extra lives. Since the game starts you back at the beginning of a level when you die, if you die in the first section, it's really in your best interest just to reset the game to try to have as many lives as possible for the second stage, even though it seems near impossible to beat the second stage on your own. Graphically speaking, when paused, the game actually looks quite good by 2600 standards, and even has some nice scrolling in the background of the second stage, but there does appear to be quite a bit of flickering. The sounds are standard, although the jingle on the title screen is fine. Family-friendly wise, the game would most likely get an E for everyone rating if released today. The value of the cart is hard to pin down as it rarely shows up on eBay. A complete copy recently sold with the seller asking for $500 but accepting an unknown best offer. No loose copies have recently sold, nor were there any even available to buy when I was researching it, but I did pay for about $40 to a UK eBay seller much earlier in the year for my loose copy. So what do I think of Ghostbusters 2 for the Atari 2600? Is it worth playing today? I'm going to say no. This really feels like an unfinished prototype and is truly frustrating to play. Controlling your man in the first level is a pain. I really feel like I was just fumbling around half the time, lucky to get to where I wanted to go. In the end, I simply memorized where the shields and scoop pieces were, since it seems they always are placed in the same spot, focusing mostly on getting those and hoping to make my way to the bottom. From what I understand, many players never even finish the first stage. If the first stage feels barely possible to pass, the second stage feels much worse. The fact that simply shooting takes some of your slime power is crazy, as is only having one shot on screen at a time when you face a swarm of tiny ghosts. Hovering over the slime on the ground also doesn't always register, which is maddening. And the fact that your fireball regenerates back on the torch makes it tough to aim, and it feels jarring when this happens. In the end, if this game had some polish, like not having to restart the entire level when dying, it might have been okay, but as it is, I don't recommend it to anyone but collectors who want a complete PAL collection. So where am I going to rank Ghostbusters 2 for the Atari 2600 against other Atari 2600 games I previously reviewed? As you could probably guess, it's going pretty low, near the slime river of Atari 2600 games at the bottom of my rankings. I'm looking near Sea Hunt at the 261 position. Both games have 2 sections and both games have control issues, but while Ghostbusters 2 looks and sounds better, Sea Hunt controls better, and it's possible to clear both sections. So based on that alone, I'm going to give Sea Hunt the edge. Out of the 266 games I'm now ranked for the Atari 2600, Ghostbusters is descending to the 262 position. I ain't afraid of no ghosts, but I am afraid of playing Ghostbusters 2 on the Atari 2600. But that's just what I think. What do you think? Do you like this game? Have any memories of it? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy videos like this one and you want to support my work, please click like and subscribe. Drop a comment below, and for mega supporters, either become a channel member or sign up at patreon.com/NoSwearGamer. Thank you for giving me a little part of your day, and I look forward to see you next time in the next episode of the No Swear Gamer. Take care, and if you want to bust some ghost on the Atari 2600, play the original Ghostbusters game instead of this one.